The neurosurgeon that diagnosed me said it was the worst case he had ever seen. He was an experienced neurosurgeon. And what happened was I didn't know what was going on, but what I thought was happening was in the middle of the night, I would wake up in full out panic attack mode, jumping out of bed, hurling across the room before my feet hit the ground.
Forrest, how did you find carnivore?
About 2 years ago, I stepped on the bathroom scales and I hit 230 pounds. That was, and I'm only 5'7". At the time, I was 60, only 5'7", so relatively short. Um, I had hit 230 pounds, and it stopped me in my tracks. And I shook my head, and I felt miserable. I actually looked like I was 9 months pregnant. But yeah, it was a moment. It was a moment in time when I just stopped in my tracks, and I said, I cannot do this anymore. I have to figure this out. I felt terrible, had lots of issues. So I went into the living room and I took my wife's a retired nurse. And so I went in there and I said, I just hit 230 pounds. I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. I've got to stop and reverse course. She said, good. I feel terrible. She told me a few times she felt like she was going to die. She felt so bad. So we went into the pantry. The first thing I thought about was my son. He had done ketogenic. Oh, I don't know, maybe a year before that, and he and his wife had good success with it. And I thought, okay, well let's just try ketogenic. Maybe that's the way to go. So I got on YouTube and I started looking up ketogenic diet. I came across you and Ken Berry and Dr. Chafee and Dr. Baker and uh, Homestead Howe, Kerry Mann. I just lots and lots of information, lots of communities on YouTube that talked about ketogenic diet, how to do it, how to get started. And pretty much everybody was saying the first thing to do was to clean out your pantry. So I said, okay, one step at a time. Let me do that first. So we got into that kitchen pantry and looked at the ingredients, and we wanted to get rid of sugar, flour, and processed seed oil. Anything that had any of those ingredients in there, we threw it away. And the pantry was empty. It really was. I mean, seriously, it's shocking when you start looking at cans of tomato paste and just things you wouldn't think of that would have one of those three ingredients in there. They all had it. They all had it. So we started really throwing things away, and we decided we were going to go from the standard American diet, the SAD, down to the ketogenic. And so we started just having a meat and a vegetable. Very simple. But I was still in the habit of snacking. I loved my snacks, okay? Um, I was real bad about eating Cheetos and Doritos and cereal, and just my habits were horrible. So first thing we had to do was figure out what we could eat. So we looked at all the videos. We figured out we could eat things. We wanted to keep the fat content up. So we got avocados and nuts, and we had some berries and cheese and um, pork rinds and you know things that we could continue our bad habits, perpetuate our bad habits. But it helped us with the transition. The whole carnivore journey has been a journey from SAD to keto to carnivore. It's been a year and a half long, really a 2 year journey for me. And it's a journey of elimination. When you eliminate, so we eliminated the snacking, we eliminated the chips and the dip and the cakes and the cookies and the pies my main nemesis was cereal. I mean, I could open it. I'm telling you, they're great. I mean, I could open Frosted Flakes and I could eat the whole freaking box every evening. I'd sit down, I'd get 2 or 3 bowls of cereal. Oh, it was a bad habit, but I loved it. I mean, I could eat it every single day. Honey Nut Cheerios, Frosted Flakes. I mean, you name it, Fruit Loops, whatever. That was my worst, most difficult habit to break. Um, so I had to start substituting maybe a handful of nuts or some cottage cheese or something a little more filling, something that actually triggered my uh, hormones that told me that my stomach is full, stop eating. Um, and so we started eliminating the bad stuff, substituting a few things like that. And we went on for like 6 months. Um, I lost a good bit of weight quickly. I've lost a total now of 65 pounds. Uh, my wife has lost 45 pounds, so 110 pounds together between the two of us. But it was a journey. We started, okay, so we got ketogenic. We started eating, a meat and a vegetable. We eliminated all of the Gatorades we didn't really drink a lot of soft drinks anyway, but we completely eliminated fast food, soft drinks, anything with sugar, high fructose corn syrup. We eliminated fruit with the exception of a few berries, a couple of times a week, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries. Um, but we did add some cheese and cottage cheese, things like that, had some fat in it. But overall, the volume of food that we were eating went way down. Uh, and we started losing weight pretty quickly. I lost probably, I'd say 20 to probably 40, probably 25, 30 pounds pretty quick. And then I noticed the health benefits. I had no idea that I would get rid of so many different medical issues. I did this for the weight loss. Okay, so 2 weeks in, this is 2 weeks into keto, not even carnivore yet, but 2 weeks into keto, um, my brain just woke up. It was like the energy level, I don't know what you call it, but brain energy maybe. But my mental acuity, my cognitive abilities went through the roof in a matter of 2 weeks. I was I would get up in the morning, put my feet on the ground at 5 a.m. and be ready to go. I was perfectly rested. I was energetic. It was crazy. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Um, and then within a week or two of that, I noticed I had severe pain in my shoulder. It's because I was taking statins and I was eating a lot of carbs. The pain in my shoulders were so bad that I had to go to the orthopedic surgeon and get cortisone injections. It kept me from sleeping at night. I'm a side sleeper, and both sides were hurting. It was just really painful. I was taking Advil, pain medicine every single day.
So sorry to interrupt, but just to kind of focus on that issue a little bit.
Yeah,
You were taking Advil and cortisone shots to counter the problems that statins were causing.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, it. I went to the orthopedic surgeon. He never. I went to him. Oh, I don't know, 2 or 3 times, not that many. But he never mentioned diet. He never mentioned or asked me what other medications I was on, like statins. He never, all he wanted to do was give me cortisone shots, have me come back, give me more cortisone shots, send me to physical therapy that cost me $3,500 over a period of 3 or 4 months. I went to physical therapy every other day, intense physical therapy. Nothing helped. I had intense shoulder pain. It was to the point where it was wearing me down. I was to the point of going back to the orthopedic surgeon and saying, "Do the surgery. I don't care. Just give me some relief." So I decided to get off the statins, and by that time I'd lost some weight and I'd quit eating the carbohydrates. And within 2 weeks of getting off the statins, I was 100% completely cured of that problem. I mean, I went from excruciating to zero in 2 weeks. And
It's crazy, and, to spend that much money and to have seen that many doctors and to find out that you can control it yourself just by changing what you eat is amazing, right?
yeah, and so the more I started eliminating things, the more I started eliminating ailments. Okay, so I had severe reflux. I was taking a Prevacid reflux medication every single night, um, and I had really bad reflux. So I took that medication probably for, I don't know, I was taking it for 3 years at least, and uh, with with the lower carbohydrate diet, it went away completely, 100%. No more reflux. Um, Recently, migraines. One of the toughest things I've had to deal with since I was in college was migraine headaches. Every time the barometric pressure changed, I got a migraine. After 2 years on carnivore, it's gone. Or well, a year and a half on carnivore. I've actually 509 days on carnivore, and another 6 months prior to that on keto. No more migraines. That's the last thing I had to resolve, and it's gone. And that's a big deal. Migraines are difficult. Pretty much ruins your whole day when you get one. So I had the shoulder pain. And the reflux, the migraines. I had severe sinusitis. I had trouble with my sinuses for years. I actually had, if I'd have known then what I know now, I wouldn't have had the sinus surgery that I had to have. I had middle ear surgery, sinus surgery. I've always had congested sinuses. After a few months, that was completely gone, 100% cured. Never in my life had I had that. So,
So was that impacting your sleep somewhat as well?
not too bad, no, but it was just a constant, sinus headache, sinus pressure. My ears were always stopped up because my eustachian tubes were inflamed, and so I had a real hard. Matter of fact, my left ear I couldn't hardly even hear. I was standing at the fireplace one day just warming up, and I told my wife, I said, I can hear now. I can hear out of my left ear. I don't have hearing problem anymore. That went away completely. So did the sinus congestion. I was taking the Nasacort nasal spray to keep the inflammation down. Didn't have to use that anymore. I was taking an inhaler every now and then. I was getting some kind of asthma. I would take the albuterol, and I sounded like I was broken completely. But these are just kind of what people consider normal, I guess, from getting old. And so I did notice that I didn't have any asthma, hard time breathing anymore. So I quit using that. So I eliminated that completely. Haven't had any issues with that. And the most important thing was the sleep apnea. Um, I got rid of my CPAP machine. I got rid of my sleep apnea, and the neurosurgeon that diagnosed me with sleep apnea said it was the worst case he had ever seen. He was an experienced neurosurgeon, and what happened was I didn't know what was going on, but what I thought was happening was in the middle of the night I would wake up in full out panic attack mode, jumping out of bed, hurling across the room before my feet hit the ground, trying to get my breath. I thought at first it was reflux, where I would just have this reflux in my throat. But I'd get to the bathroom and to drink some water, whatever, and there was nothing in my throat. I could not figure out why is this happening. It had nothing to do with reflux. I had already resolved that. I stopped breathing. My O2 level dropped to a point where I was down to 80%, 82% oxygen saturation. That's when your brain says, Bud, you better breathe or you're going to die. And it kicks in the adrenaline. Man, when that adrenaline hit, boom, I was wide awake, running across the room, total panic mode. And I would do that, just about every night, every other night. That was happening. And so I went to did the overnight sleep study. He diagnosed me with I had central and, what do you call it, the blockage, uh, both types of sleep apnea. Put me on a CPAP machine. I dealt with that stupid thing for, I don't know, at least 2 years, maybe longer. And I got to the point where I didn't need it anymore. My numbers, has a sleep apnea number that it gives you in the morning. It monitors your apnea episodes, and my index had dropped from like 115 down to less than one.
115.
Yeah,
Wow.
the apnea index when I did the sleep study was 115. But when I was at home, typically when I was at home now, after they put me on the machine and it was controlling it, it would run anywhere from 5 to 10 when I first started on the machine. But when I started the carnivore, it went down. I could see it over time. It just kept dropping, and it got to point 0.5 or less, and I felt so rested and so completely, um, just completely rested that I didn't need that machine anymore. So I got off of it, and there was no difference being on it or off of it. I felt just as good when I wasn't on the machine. So I quit using it. My wife is working her way off of her CPAP machine. She's almost to the point where she can get off of hers now. So that was a huge relief to no longer have sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is one of the major causes of Alzheimer's. It's a major contributing factor to Alzheimer's disease. Okay. And a lot of people that go and it's the most undiagnosed uh, illness that there is, that people don't realize they have sleep apnea, and they go for years and years, and they end up 20 years down the road with severe Alzheimer's or dementia. And so I didn't want that to happen for sure. So I kept that machine on every night. I made sure I was doing the right thing, and I didn't end up with sleep apnea. But after I lost the weight, I lost 65 pounds. I guess my theory is that I didn't have all that weight pushing up on my diaphragm. I didn't have that big old fat neck that I had. I was had lost weight around my neck, so the obstructive sleep apnea went away. And then over time, I think the inflammation from eating all the sugars and carbs, I think the inflammation started dropping, and then the central sleep apnea went away because the inflammation that drives is the nerve that drives your diaphragm. I think is the vagus nerve, drives your diaphragm. My theory is, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think that there was inflammation in that control mechanism, and that inflammation uh, was causing the central sleep apnea. That was basically when your brain is not telling your diaphragm to breathe. That went away. But that took longer than, my numbers started coming down. I could see the obstructive go down pretty quickly, but the central number kept staying pretty high. It took a lot longer for the central, for the inflammation to go away than the fat. Fat went away around the neck. The obstructive went away. Then it took a little while to get the other down, but sooner or later it got down way below one.
So, this is fantastic. Like, you've improved so many things that are kind of life changing.
Absolutely.
improvements. So when you hear people say, "Oh, carnivore is just a fad, everything in moderation, you can eat the rainbow, you can eat whatever you want as long as it's balanced." What do you think about that?
It drives me crazy. It's a lot of people come up to my wife and I when they see the results. They can see people who have known us for the last, say, 3 years. They know how big we were, what we look like, how inflamed we look, and out of shape we look. And now they see us now, and I'm the same size as I was in high school. You know, I went down from a, what is it, 3XL shirt down to a medium now. And I went from a size 44 pants to a 34. You know, my wife went from a size 16 dress down to a size 4, I think, maybe 2. Yeah, and so there's an obvious big difference when people see us now, and they'll ask me, what did you do? You're looking great. Well, I don't eat carbs anymore. I don't eat plants. I don't eat sugar. I just eat meat. And they're like, are you crazy? What? They look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm used to it. I just, I tell them if they want to learn about it, if they want me to explain it to them, I will. I'm glad to. If they want to learn about it, they can go to my YouTube channel, which got shadow banned pretty quickly because I speak my mind. But anyway, yeah. So basically, what I did, I never thought I'd have a YouTube channel, Dave. I mean, I just wanted to document what had happened to me. This was all. I mean, I did this to lose the weight, and the medical benefits were astonishing. I didn't know any of this was going to happen. I wasn't expecting any of this. But, when these things started happening, I started paying attention to your videos and others on YouTube, that the comments below, when you have people that basically verify what the person on the video just said. Oh, I did that and such happened. And it was so reinforcing to see so many people having the exact same results that I had, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people. It just verified that what I was doing was the right thing.
That's
So
an interesting point, because it's those comments that made me keep making the videos.
the comments are really, they really tell the tale. I mean, if you can speak for an hour with one of your guests, and while somebody's listening to your video, if they start looking down on those comments and they see, 50 other people that have had the exact same result, I don't care about a study. I don't need a study. Just look at all these people. Look at these results. This is real. This is happening. And it's really impressive what carnivore can do. But over time, it's been a process of elimination. I went from eating the ketogenic, and I started listening to Anthony Chafee about plants. He had the one video called "Plants Will Kill You," and so I'm a chemist. I'm a biochemist. I have a degree in biology and chemistry and MBA, and so I went down a rabbit hole when I saw Anthony Chafee and Ken Berry and all these guys, and Sean Baker and all these guys. But when I saw Anthony Chafee talking about plant toxins and plants will kill you, I started reading. Um, I went down the rabbit hole and read about 15 or 20 books on proper human nutrition. And I was interested at a biochemistry level because I do have a biochemistry background. So I decided to go down that rabbit hole. I was really curious. My brain was on fire anyway. I could absorb a whole book in a week and read another one right after it. I mean, some of the books I was reading, Dave, were written for medical school students. I was reading the biochemistry and the cellular level chemistry that was going on because I was interested in how the nutrition mechanisms actually work. So, I read Dr. Lustig, Dr. Ben Bickman, Dr. Baker, Dr. Berry, all these guys that wrote books about the proper human diet. And the more I read, the more curious I got. I mean, I ended up reading probably 20 books. And I was excited about the information in those books and I wanted to share it with people. So on several of my videos, I did book reviews. I thought it was interesting to show people the books and where I got my information from so they could explore and learn on their own like I did. Because a lot of times that's more effective than me talking about it. If I can get somebody to read a book that somebody else wrote, maybe it has more of an impact, right? So, so I did some good reviews of a lot of good books that I read, and I really got down to the chemistry and the cellular biochemistry that was going on with proper human nutrition and how these different substances like fructose and sugar and all that get processed through the liver, through the mitochondria. What really intrigued me about that study um, was the impact of insulin. And what it all came down to after I read all the books, I read 20, at least 20 books. Bottom line is that if you can control your insulin level at a low and steady rate, you can maintain this forever. And if you eat meat and you eat fat, uh, your insulin doesn't spike. When it spikes and it comes crashing back down, that's when your ghrelin hormones kick in and your stomach says, "Feed me again, I'm hungry." That never happens if you're eating meat and fat. And I eat beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. That's all I eat.
Yeah, you can just keep it flat and everything just works, right?
Everything
Like
works.
and the thing is, once you've done this for any length of time, whether it's been low carb, keto, ketovore, carnivore,
Mhm.
you just kind of go, yeah, this seems to be the way we're meant to do things because it just works.
It's simple. It works. You don't get hungry. I don't get hungry. I almost forgot to eat today. It was 1:30. Um, and I looked up and I thought, I hadn't even eaten today. So I go fix myself 5 scrambled eggs and 4 pieces of bacon. And I don't eat again till 7:30 at night. I eat a ribeye steak and I'm good for the day.
So is that how you do it most days? Is it 2 meals a day? And is it more of an intuitive thing about the timing?
Yeah, I tried OMAD 1 meal a day, and I found myself overindulging. I was waiting too long, and it didn't really work for me. I like the 2 meals a day much better. Um, I do eat a lot of ribeye meat. I have a local butcher that has thinly sliced ribeye meat. It's paper thin, can almost see through it, but it's for making Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. Whenever you get a Philly cheesesteak at a restaurant, it's ribeye meat. It's sliced really thin. Okay, it's ribeye steaks, really, really thin slice. So I'll go up there to the butcher and get 2 pounds of that, and it's stacked up, little thin slices stacked up this tall, and I'll cut it in smaller pieces and saute it in a skillet with some butter, and I eat that 4 nights. 4 nights a week. I'll eat a half a pound of ribeye meat, or I'll eat a filet mignon, or usually that, or hamburger, mostly hamburger. Um, that's all it's so simple. That's all I eat. People say, "Oh, it's so expensive. How can you afford ribeye meat every night?" Well, I don't buy Cokes. I don't buy chips. I don't buy dip. I don't buy Doritos. I don't buy, you know, I don't buy anything else. That's all we buy. So it's really cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how much cheaper eating can be when you're not trying to eat every hour to hour and a half, you know?
Dave, I promise you, when I was doing the sad diet, I ate something. I was looking for something to eat every no more than 3 hours. I was eating something every 2 or 3 hours. And now I eat twice a day within it's like a 6 hour window. and I am perfectly content. I never get hungry. I just drink water. I drink black coffee. I drink every now and then I'll give myself a little cream in my coffee for a treat. Just for a little fat. Um, I drink water, unsweet tea with lemon and coffee, black coffee usually, and that's it. No cokes, no diet cokes. Now, one interesting thing that when I first got into keto, I think it was a mistake initially was trying to create keto recipes that mimicked your old stuff that you used to eat, like keto spaghetti or keto whatever recipe, right? And it never tasted right. I never liked it. It was a pain to cook all that. Finally, we just got down to meat and vegetable, and then just meat. So we eliminate. So it's a process of elimination. It's a process of trial and error. It's a process now. There were several key time periods during that journey where I completely stalled out on my weight loss, and it was so frustrating. One time I went probably 4 to 6 months without losing a pound. So I decided, okay, I'm going to document everything I put in my mouth, everything I eat. I'm going to write it down. So I did that for like 2 weeks. And then I started calculating just the calories. I know calories don't really count, but they do. If you eat too much, it counts. So I started eat. I was getting 4,000 calories a day, and I work in front of a computer. I work from home. I have I do walk. I get exercise, but you know, I don't do a whole lot of exercise. So I was getting way too many calories. So when that happened, I cut way back on the volume of food that I was eating, the volume of fat, the volume of protein, the volume of, I eliminated the cheese, the cream in my coffee. That's before I was doing coffee or cream every once in a while. I was having coffee, cream every day. And that was like 1,000 calories a week because I use a lot of cream. Anyway, so I cut all that back. Boom, started dropping. And I was stuck for 4 to 6 months. I mean, I could not move it. So I had to stop and evaluate, take notes, figure out what I was doing wrong, eliminate something else, eliminate something else, eliminate something else, to the point where now it's just run and maintain. I know what I can eat. I know how to maintain the 160. I weigh 165 pounds now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so when you're eating day to day, is your like you and your wife are eating pretty much the same patterns, or are you eating independently?
Independently, she likes to have her breakfast like 8 or 9 a.m. And she'll eat again like 5 or 6 in the evening. So we're kind of staggered. We completely separate. So every once in a while, if I know that I'm going to take her out to eat somewhere, we will. I'll eat at the same time she does, and by the time dinner date gets here, I'm hungry. So, but it's so easy and it's so convenient. We keep cooked bacon in the refrigerator. We keep lots of eggs, lots of meat. I pre-cook that ribeye meat ahead of time so I can just warm it up at night. It's so simple. I do burgers. I'll do a batch of burgers and we'll put them in the fridge and just microwave them. And it's so simple. She still has keto, so she'll have a veggie. She'll cook some broccoli or whatever, uh, and then just warm up the meat in the microwave. She's got her meal, so it's pretty simple. Everything is so much simpler.
It is like that, right? It really becomes simple when you start a way of eating where eating is a functional thing, not an entertainment thing anymore.
Yeah, I've got people that I know that are, basically use food as entertainment. Food and alcohol as entertainment, and uh, they're not healthy. That's not a good habit to get into. But it's interesting. Living in Bentonville, Arkansas, I had to tell you about this. The living in Bentonville, Arkansas, we're home of the Walmart corporate headquarters. Okay, and about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, Walmart started construction on a new corporate headquarters. It's about 3 miles from where I live. And it's a billion with a B, $1 billion campus. It's 350 acres. It's building after building after building after building. It's block after block of Bentonville is now this one gigantic Walmart campus. It's the richest company in the world. I mean, it's the biggest company in the world now. And so they have a lot of influence on what happens in Bentonville. A lot of money coming into this town from Walmart. But I got to thinking, when they started building that campus, I had done a video. Actually, went into Walmart with my cell phone camera rolling, and I went through all the aisles and looking at what all you had to pass just to get to the meat department. And I got more hits on that video than any of them, but you had to pass by the bakery. They've got these containers full of cookies and cupcakes, brightly colored cupcakes. Kind of you almost run into them. They're out right on the edge of the aisle. And you finally you make your way to the meat and eggs, and if you decide to go in the middle because you need a spice or something, um, you pass by just countless hundreds of items that are just toxic. I mean, they're not even foods.
Yeah, we don't have Walmart here, but we do have Costco, and that sounds very similar to the way Costco is. Yeah, you got to walk right to the back, past everything else, if you want to get the meat.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they have these gigantic displays, especially during football season. They've got the Doritos and the dip. They're in the middle of the aisle, and they're 10 feet tall, and they've got these big displays of cupcakes and cookies, and all they've got them decorated like Halloween or football season, and when it was funny when I was finishing up that video, I walked through the aisle and I was showing people how bad these foods are, and I was going out to the checkout, and they had rearranged the checkout so that in order for you to get to a cash register, you had to walk through an alleyway. Okay, you had to go. It was like a tunnel, and on either side of that alleyway, stacked up above your head, was candy, cookies, energy drinks, Cokes, Dr. Pepper, um, chips, just all bad carbohydrates. But they were single. You could grab one and eat it on your way home. You know, the single serve candy bars and
And so when you think about it, this is a genius idea, right? The
oh, it's
toys
absolutely all the
Toys
other
R Us
stores.
that are near us do that as well, and
Uh,
it's like, when there's a line and you've gotta stand in that area for a long time and you got kids with you, that is an absolute nightmare for parents.
It's a parent's nightmare. So I'm almost through with the video, right? I'm okay. I get to the end of the where the checkout alleyway is. The carb temptation is at the end there, and I look up. I thought I was done. I look up, and it was the Halloween candy. This was a year ago, right about now, a year ago. The Halloween candy. I walked over there, and there's probably 6 or 8 aisles, above your head, bright orange, purple, beautiful packaging. It was all Halloween candy. And I'm just shaking my head. I can't go in a grocery store anymore without I have to just keep my mouth shut. I shake my head and I see people with grocery carts full of that junk, and I see people that are and I don't judge people. I think it's very sad and very unfortunate that so many people are morbidly obese and they've got a shopping cart full of carbs, sugar. It's all sugar. And I have to refrain myself from stopping them and trying to help them out. But I don't judge people because people just don't know what they're eating, and this stuff's so addictive.
Well, that's a sad thing as well, is it's not that people are not kinda loading the cart up thinking, "Okay, well, I know this is bad for me, but I'm just gonna have it because it's," a lot of the people that are filling their carts up with this ultra processed food think they're doing the right thing because it's like no fat. And it's like, oh, well, they've told me that's good for me. So one of these days it's going to work, you know?
It's such a conspiracy. And one of the things as a scientist, as somebody who's done the research on all this stuff and understands the studies and how things work, what's really annoying to me, is really sad, really, is that the scientific community has lost all integrity. There's no integrity at all in the scientific community, and that includes all of these government three-letter government organizations and health societies, uh, American Diabetes Association and American Heart, whatever. All these different. It's all bought and paid for. It's such a conspiracy. It's such a horrible conspiracy. And all of these people get their funding from big food and big pharma. They're bought and paid for. The researchers, the chemists, the scientists, the researchers, the universities, the government officials, the 2025 government guidelines. I looked up their, I actually looked up their credentials for all the people on that were going to recommend the 2025 dietary guidelines. Every single one of them was getting 85% of their funding from big food and big pharma.
And they're meant to be impartial. It's
Right.
crazy, right?
Yeah. And, they drop their kids off at school and they're driving to work and they're thinking about, I need to finish up this research project. Um, I need to get a paycheck. I think I'll just let them look at it first and see how they want to interpret the results, and whatever they want to report, that's fine. And I'll keep getting my funding, I'll keep getting my paycheck, and everybody's going to be happy. They don't care about who gets sick, who gets chronic diseases from it. They're just looking out for their own paycheck.
That's right. I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, I think. I don't think on an individual level, it's not like they're thinking, ha ha ha, what can I do that's really bad or whatever. It's just like, I'm looking out for my own interests. I need to pay my kids' school fees. I need to pay my mortgage. So, what's the best way of achieving that? And that's okay. Well, I need to get this, you know, reviewed in the correct way or whatever.
When I drive down the road and I see that brand new Walmart campus, and they're 73% of the item or 75% of the items that they sell in that store in the grocery aisle are these bad toxic foods. They're making a killing. They couldn't afford $1 billion campus uh, if they weren't making a hell of a profit, right? And then I drive around, go down about 3 miles down the highway, and you see this humongous Mercy Medical Center, and the parking lot's completely full. And I'm thinking, it costs a lot of money to run that hospital, and the doctors are incentivized to keep those beds full. They have to have people in those beds to keep that hospital running. You got nurses and doctors, and you got so many people, so many salaries, and so many people you have to pay, but you can't do it unless you've got sick people in that hospital, in the beds, filling up those surgical suites, in the hospital beds. And but that's how the system perpetuates itself.
Yeah, it makes sense then when someone goes to the doctor for a small complaint and it's like, we got to put you on this cocktail of meds straight away, or we need to take this organ out of your body as soon as possible.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Mm.
it's self-perpetuating, that's for sure. That's one of the things that when you eventually come to carnivore, you eventually, if you do the research and you understand it, and you really understand the reality of what's happening, you realize that you've been lied to for a long, long time, and you have to unlearn. I call it. You have to unlearn decades of indoctrination, and to unlearn decades of indoctrination. you've pretty much got to do the research yourself to prove it to yourself that yeah, this is all a false narrative, uh, and it's very difficult for me to explain that to other people. I've been marginally successful in telling other people about carnivore as much as I've tried, and I try not to be too a pain in the butt about it, but I do try to help people when they ask me. But it's very difficult to get people to change their habits based on the indoctrination they've had for the last 60 years.
Yeah. Well, on that, like, what kind of feedback do you get from friends about the fact you're eating this way, or when they say, "Well, how did you lose all the weight?"
Deer in the headlights, it's like eh, I've had some couple of people that were interested. I've had my family is starting to my son's starting to go on keto again. My wife's on keto. My daughter and her boyfriend are doing keto. They're paying attention. They started paying attention. Okay, so that's a good start. I wish they would all just go completely full blown carnivore, but I think it's a process, and I have to just live by example and hope that they see the benefits of what I'm doing and that they eventually come full blown full blown carnivore. People don't really understand how bad they feel until they've been carnivore for 509 days, like I have. You don't really understand what it's like to be 100% well. Everything is going great, and that's where I am.
Nice. So, how would you give someone advice about getting started? Say they've become open to it. They said, "Okay, I'm skeptical, but I'm willing to try it for 90 days." What would you
Watch
tell them to do?
watch Dave Mack videos. Watch Carnivore Journey 0609 is my website, but I've got the whole journey documented just because I wanted to document it for my family, but I put it out there so they could see it. But Carnivore Journey 0609 is June the 9th. That's the date that I started full blown carnivore. And it's also my daughter's birthday. So Carnivore Journey 0609. But I would say start by educating yourself, take it slow, start eliminating things that you know. The first thing is to eliminate the sugar, flour, and seed oils. When you eliminate those three items, a lot of what you've been eating is going to go away. Increase your fat and your protein. Eventually eliminate your carbs, uh, and understand that fat is good, red meat is good. Those other three things are not good. So focus on protein and fat. Take your time though. Just it took me 2 years to get here. I took my time. I did slowly a process of elimination. When I stalled, I eliminated something else. So look at YouTube videos on keto, start that way, and eventually work it to more meat, more fat, and less vegetables and fruit. And it works, but it takes time. You got to be patient with yourself. You got to give yourself grace. It took me 60 years to screw it up. I mean, I dedicated my life to 60 years to screwing it all up, and now, I mean, you can't expect it to change overnight. It's a lot of old habits you have to break, a lot of indoctrination that you have to unlearn, and so give yourself some time. Give yourself 90 days to start with. See how things are going. Pay attention to your medical issues. Things are going to happen. You look back and you say, wait a minute, I haven't had a migraine in 6 months. What's happening? You don't even realize you're getting better sometimes, except when you're in excruciating pain. When that goes away, you know it pretty quickly. But as you start eliminating stuff, you're going to start getting better and better. Uh, just take your time and take things one day at a time.
Yeah, very nice advice. So, Forrest, just to clarify, we can find you on YouTube at Carnivore Journey 0609.
Correct.
Okay. And do you have any other social media that people can reach you on?
No, just email at fpeoples 6770 at gmail.com.
Awesome. Well,
Yep.
I'll link to those below in the show notes.
Sure.
Um, Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. Really nice to talk to you and appreciate your time.
I enjoyed it, Dave. Nice meeting you, and take care. Thank you.